million of Jets money.
Final question about Kyle, then we got to move on. There's a lot of examples in sports of coaches who are good. Kyle's good. Who take a team to a level that's high, but can't get them over the hump. And eventually get replaced. And the replacement either does or doesn't take them further. A lot of examples of that. Eagles did it with Andy Reid. And it worked for them. It worked for Andy Reid too. You don't feel that vibe with Kyle Shanahan at all? I mean, he's had the last 4 years, 19, 20, 21, 22, everyone said best team in the league. That team's going to win the Super Bowl. Couldn't get it. 0 for 4. You're really not thinking that he might be the kind of guy who can take you right to the doorstep but can't get through? That hasn't crossed your mind?
I don't see a fundamental issue, or I guess, or an issue.
What about the quarterbacks getting hurt all the time, Larry? What are you talking about?
Well, is that on the head coach?
Who's the common denominator here?
Well, but I mean,
Mike McGlinchey?
Is it on the head coach? I mean, every team that doesn't win, Belichick didn't win. Is it on Belichick that they didn't win? I mean, or is it on the personnel evaluation? I mean,
I don't know. I thought we all said the Niners had a stacked team.
I credit players.
Okay.
And I blame players.
Okay.
And
fair enough.
Me,
fair enough.
A lot
fair
of
enough.
times the answer comes down to, I don't think Kyle Shanahan wins because he's magic. I don't think Nick Sirianni is going to win because he's magic. I think Nick Sirianni may win the Super Bowl because he's got Howie Roseman, who built
Howie's really good. I was kind of underwhelmed by Nick Sirianni and that coaching staff. Like, they're a really talented team in Philly, but like as a coach, what do they do on offense? They run the zone read. They're a very vanilla team over there, but good team, really well put together.
But I mean, deep, really good,
talented,
line of scrimmage,
but
better than the 49ers this year on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
I see it as players. Now, okay, let's take a look at Kyle's run. They went in, they started, they said, you know what, we're going to go with Hoyer early because he felt like, I got a 6-year deal, man. I got time to set this up. I'll build up the defense. So that was a mistake because that draft included Mahomes and Watson, and they missed on both. But they never really evaluated them. And I believe that. I believe them when they said that. So then they go Hoyer, failed miserably. Then they draft Beathard in the 3rd round, failed miserably. So I'm not sure if Kyle has an eye for quarterback talent or not. If his pick was Beathard, I would say not. But they didn't have the quarterback. Then they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo seemingly never, he's got some good traits. He was better than what they had, but not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, kind of a middle of the pack quarterback to the point where you didn't trust him. And when he got into his big season in 2019, and they got in the playoffs, he looked like a absolute deer in the headlights, and he ran the ball tons. And then Garoppolo wet the bed in the Super Bowl. Now now they traded up for Lance. Lance doesn't look like the guy in any way, shape, or form. He's a decent prospect because he's got traits, but he's not a quarterback. He has to be coached into it, and I don't know if Kyle's the guy to coach him. Now he finally lands on a quarterback who has the it factor, the poise, the accuracy, the timing.
And he gets him hurt, just like every other quarterback he coaches.
He doesn't have a good enough offensive line, and he doesn't have a good enough defensive
line. You can't blame the offensive line for Brock Purdy's injury. It was freaking Tyler Kroft. I still can't believe.
But I can blame the offensive line for the fact that the 49er rushing attack, despite all these runners and despite all these receivers and all the balance, they didn't run the ball this year like a championship running game. They didn't run the ball this year as well as they've run the ball in past years. And I think going from Mack to Brendel was a downgrade. And going from Tomlinson to Banks was more of a lateral move. And the right side of their line is just kind of okay. And then Kinlaw was a gigantic hole on their defensive line. And they lost Mosley, who's a number 1 corner. If you gave them a number 1 corner, a better defensive tackle, and a little bit better line with the quarterback, Brock Purdy, I think they can win.
Kyle would still get the quarterback hurt. Until Kyle Shanahan can prove that he can keep a quarterback upright, they're not going to win a Super Bowl. And I think what's interesting is his number 1 protege, Mike McDaniel, good coach, went to Miami. And what was his issue? All of his quarterbacks got hurt. What a freaking surprise. Maybe there's something about their scheme that doesn't quite prioritize the protection of the most important person in your freaking organization. Just saying. You might want to think about it, Kyle, Mike, Jed, John.
I will say this. both guys will go empty. They'll go empty and they'll put 5 in the pattern. And they're offensive playmaker guys. They're thinking of exciting play calls, and protection's not sexy, but I'll say this.
And they'll call 7-step drop play action passes with their backup tight end on the best edge rusher in football. They will do that and say, hey, you got to execute that, baby.
But I mean,
or you got to step up in the pocket.
Tight end. Where's their
how about actually drafting a tight end other than George Kittle once? We got to move on.
I'd feel better if they had a better. I'd feel better about that play if they had a better blocking tight end. Instead,
who the hell is Tyler Kroft? What does he do well? He was inactive last week. Literally inactive last week.
Anybody could have had him. Street free agent.
Yeah,